Welcome to LSC. It's Sports Time. I'm your host, Bob Hintz. Today I have with me Mike Tyndall, who is a former Bethel quarterback on a championship team over there. And appreciate you coming in today. I know you had to leave work and come in, but you're the boss, so you can kind of take off, right?
Yep. Thanks for having me out here. I've been looking forward to it.
Well, let's go way back, when you grew up in Northampton and you started playing rec ball, and talk a little bit about that. Because you didn't play just football. You played a lot of sports when you were growing up.
Yeah, back then we played a little bit of everything. Played for Northampton Little League, baseball, and Northampton Athletic Association had basketball, football, and wrestling.
And you did it all.
I tried to for a little bit.
But who was instrumental in getting that started?
Well, my dad played a part in it with another fellow named Mr. Cardwell.
Keith Cardwell,
Jerry Hill.
Yeah.
A few other parents were instrumental in that, but
well, I remember you used to tell me that Keith was the mayor of Northampton.
Right, he was. He was the mayor of Northampton. That's what he was known as. I recall.
So you grew up with, of course, your dad loved sports and was involved in sports his whole life. So it just went down to you and your brother.
Right.
So Eddie
and my sisters.
And your sisters,
right.
That's right. Mm-hmm. And so this thing of being in sports your whole life has really helped you out in other things, and we'll talk about that later. But in Little League, do you remember some of your coaches that you had?
Oh, yeah. Well, my dad was one of my coaches for most of the time. He was always my coach.
And we're talking Earl Tyndall.
Earl Tyndall. And Mr. Jones and Bill Francis coached me a lot in Little League.
Okay.
And that's baseball. And then I had several of them in football. I was always one of my friend's parents, Dad, who seemed to step up.
Right, and that's always the case in rec league is somebody's dad is going to step up and coach.
Right.
Then you went to junior high school. You went to Jeff Davis.
Jeff Davis, that's
and
right.
You were the Rebels.
We were the Rebels.
Right.
We called them the Running Rebels.
Running Rebels. And before there was a Running Rebels, I guess.
Yeah, we were the first that I ever had experience with.
Right. Well, talk a little bit about junior high, because it was sports in junior high back then.
Right.
Now we don't. We have the middle school. But talk a little bit about that and what that was like growing up.
Well, I had an older brother who was 5 years older than me, so I got to experience watching him play through rec ball at Jeff Davis, and I played baseball and football at Jeff Davis. And Jeff Davis was always the team to beat in baseball, and it always seemed to be us in Eaton in football. And I think I was 5'7", 125 pounds playing quarterback. And fortunately, I had a wide receiver named Art Jones who was 6'4".
Oh, and, Art ended up playing. He said, "Heck with football, I'm going to stick with basketball."
That was his last year playing football. He figured out he was a basketball player and ended up going to NC State. But I tell Art, just go run the post. The ball's going to be there. I can't see you, but I'll get the ball there.
You knew he was going to get tall and nobody could out-jump him.
Yep, nobody could out-jump him or outrun him.
Right.
I think he still holds a record in the 600-yard walk and run.
How about that? Now, when you're over there playing the different sports, you even did some wrestling when you were growing, but that wasn't your thing. And your thing evidently became football and baseball.
Right.
That was no more basketball, no more wrestling. Those are the two things you concentrate on. Is it because you just felt comfortable at it? Because I know your brother was also, Eddie was good in football and baseball.
Right, yeah. He played basketball a couple of years for you.
Right.
And it's just, you get a little older, it starts to thin out. You start to realize, I'm 5'10", not real fast, can't jump real good, just an okay shooter. Then I realized that football and baseball were my best chance getting any playing time, so I stuck with those. Okay.
Then you went to Bethel and you got on the JVs.
Right.
And your JV quarterback was, your coach was?
Roger Bouchard, known as Skip Bouchard, was one of them. Steve Riddick. I think back then all the varsity coaches kind of helped with JV.
Right. But you had a situation, I want you to tell that story, because you were saying, oh man, I'm going to quit football.
Right.
What'd your daddy do?
I was, like I said, I was 5'8", 120 pounds, and I'm out there 2-a-day practices at Bethel, and Bethel was pretty good. That was the first year they ever won the state. And we had a lot of kids that were a little faster than me, a little bigger, and I didn't think I was getting this chance to show my skills. And I told my dad, I think I'm going to give football up. They're not giving me a chance. He goes, well, Coach lives right down the street. I want you to go knock on his door and tell him you're going to give it up. So I went down there, and it was Coach Bouchard's house. And I told him I was going to give it up. Said, "You're not giving me a chance." And he talked me into sticking it out, and they gave me a little bit of look, gave me a little playing time. And I ended up sticking it out, staying out there.
And you ended up being a starter.
My senior year, I ended up starting and was one of the quarterbacks, and we were the only undefeated team in the history of Bethel High School.
How about that?
76.
Okay, now let's talk about baseball too, because baseball seemed to be more of your love.
Right.
You wouldn't have walked away from baseball.
No.
But talk a little bit about that, because was Skip your coach there too, and
Skip
Riddick?
was the varsity coach when we came in. Steve Riddick was the JV coach.
Right.
And I think it was Coach Riddick's first year, and I played JV most of the year and got called up to varsity later in the year, and we had a pretty good team.
Right. And what position?
I played second base up till my senior year, and I started playing some shortstop.
Okay.
Just because we didn't have too many shortstops.
But playing for Bouchard had to be different. Skip is just a little wired, just a little different, but he's fun to play for.
Oh, he's fun to play for. He's enthusiastic. He made it fun, and he loved it. And it rubbed off on us. And he loved being out there. He loved to practice, and he just loved the game. He was just fun to be around. And
he's just like a kid out there.
Right, and he helped me down the road. He get in contact with some college coaches.
All right, so but you end up, first of all, after you graduated, you went down to Lewisburg.
Went to Lewisburg Junior College down in North Carolina.
Right.
And I thought I was pretty good in high school. I led the district in hitting, and you kind of got a big head when you're in high school. You think you're better than what you really are. And I went down to Lewisburg, and I found out there was a lot of baseball players out there in the woods, and we had like 12 guys drafted off my freshman team altogether. And
12 drafted?
It was unbelievable. We were pretty stacked. And my roommate, my suite mate, my next door neighbor ended up going to the big leagues off that team.
Wow.
And my second year, we ended up going to the Junior College World Series out in Grand Junction, Colorado. So it was a great experience.
That had to be a great experience.
Yes, and just playing with some of the best baseball players I ever played with right there at Lewisburg.
Right. Well, then 2 years later, and then you're done, and your little time there, you kind of mess around, figure out where you're going, and so you walk on up at Tech.
Right. Coach Hartman, who was a baseball coach at the time, had recruited me earlier at High Point College. Right. And it didn't work out. I ended up going to Lewisburg, and when he got the job at Virginia Tech, gave him a call, said, "Coach, I'm looking for somewhere to come." And he says, "Come on out here," and invited me to try out. And I tried out, and it worked out, and I earned a scholarship and ended up playing the next 2 years, Virginia Tech. Right. Great experience.
Oh, it had to be. Once you get to the college level in baseball, I mean, you're playing with kids. Each team has one or two real good kids. Right. You get all of them are good when you get to the college level.
The 2 years I played at Tech, we were 50-9 my first year and 49-9, and I think the last year we led the nation in home runs. I hit one, but
well, you were part of that.
We had Franklin Stubbs, who played in the big leagues, and
right.
Some other guys, Jimmy Stewart.
Right, so then you leave them, and you're not quite have your degree yet, but you come down here because you met a young lady.
Yes.
That's always happens, but that's okay too. And you became the permanent substitute over at Bethel High School, and also something else over there.
Right. I'd seen Bouchard, told him I was going to stick around for a little while, and I saw he was looking for a JV baseball coach. And he Skip is says, "You interested?" Said, "Sure." Yep. So I coached the JV baseball team, was a full-time substitute that year, and it was a good time. We had a good group of kids.
But teaching wasn't what you wanted to do.
But
coaching you loved.
Coaching is what I love to do.
But the teaching part was something different, and that's okay because everybody has different things. Was this during the time that you were doing scouting for the Cubs?
Well, later on I became a associate scout with the Cubs.
Okay.
Helped Billy Swope over there, who's the head scout in this area for the Cubs, and did that for 3 years. Also, I was coaching American Legion baseball at the time too. Did that for like 6-7 years. Wow. At Post 281 and 368.
So you were two different teams. You didn't stay at the same team.
Well, I stayed at Bethel for a while, and then 368 asked me if I wanted to come over there and hang out for a while, so I did. Stayed for a few years.
Well, and you also then you was over at Phoebus. You went over you not only as a JV baseball or with the baseball team, but Mike Talon basically asked you to come over and work with the quarterbacks,
right.
didn't he?
I played softball with Mike Talon, and we were at sitting on the bench one night talking. He goes, we're running the wishbone offense this year, and that's what we ran in high school.
Right.
In fact, my brother was the first one in the state of Virginia to run the wishbone at Bethel High School under Coach Shoup. So I was learning about the wishbone when I was 12. So I do know a little bit about the wishbone, and so I went out there the next day and met Coach Bill D, and he gave me the opportunity to stay out there. And 1990 was the first year Phoebus beat Hampton.
Right.
Billy says, "Why don't you stick around another year?" So,
you're a good luck charm, right?
Yeah, good luck charm.
So you stayed around more than just a couple of years.
I stayed, I think it was 8 years of football, 8 or 9 years of football. Then I stuck around, and I was the head varsity baseball coach for 7, I believe.
Right. So while you were baseball coach, you did some things that hasn't happened in baseball in Phoebus in a long time.
Right. We, they had a few good years back in the day where they had some good pitching. I think they had some good years, and we went out there. We improved the facilities, built a new fence around there, a batting cage, started practicing hard, and we averaged about 10 wins a year.
Right.
Good little group of kids.
But also during this time, people have to understand, in '85, you opened up your own business.
Right. Right.
So, I mean, here you're coaching and you got your business, and of course, being a boss, you got to say, all right, crew, this is what you're doing. I'm going over to baseball practice or football practice.
Well, having my own business allowed me the opportunity to coach, which is one of my passions in life, is to coach. And,
and you're still doing some coaching.
I gave it up for a few years.
Talk about it.
I gave up Phoebus to coach. I had some stepsons, Cole and Peyton.
Right.
And I gave up Phoebus to coach them in Little League because they had never played before. And I coached them and started an AAU team. And after a few years, they got into lacrosse. And I don't know a whole lot about lacrosse. So I let them go. I just became a spectator. And now I have a 4.5-year-old little boy. And he started playing T-ball last year, so I'm an assistant T-ball coach and coaching Little League. And now I think I'm getting back into it.
Well, and you will be because of your son.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's no doubt about it. We won't wrap this thing up, but in your own words, talk about how athletics has helped you, not only in your life, but in business and dealing with people and all that.
Oh, I'd hate to see where I'd be without athletics. I think the important thing about athletics, what it's taught me is helped me with my leadership skills, self-discipline, getting up every morning, going to those 2-a-day practices when you really don't want to, and just every day just getting better and learning to play like you practice.
Right.
Some of the relationships I've had with people, I still have them today, teammates. I think those are relationships you'll have for a lifetime. It's a special relationship you have. And my confidence, I think it's helped your confidence out there in business, handling tough situations, not getting intimidated when things don't go your way, don't go right. You just get back in there and try to make it right.
Very good. Well, appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me.
I want to thank you for tuning in to LSC and Sports Time. I want to thank my special guest, Mike Tyndall. I'm your host, Bob Hintz. Till next time.